Hello, beautiful combabes!
Hello!
I'm here today with Julia. And
Hi.
We're gonna do a bad bitch look inspired by Jessica Vu. And Julia is also going to be talking to us about why your life is shit.
Yes, basically. Why you feel like you're working all the time and you're tired and like, is this what life is about? No, we have a feminist answer for it. So we're gonna give you all the answers. Keep watching.
Yes, and until we get to the end of the video, because I don't want people to miss out on this, there's going to be a women's strike on the 8th of March. On the 8th of March.
I thought exactly the same thing like the other day. Weird.
On the 8th of March, and there's going to be like all across the UK and the US as well, probably.
Yeah.
For anyone who's in the US watching me, which is
or across Europe, lots of different countries.
Yeah. So on the 8th of March, there's going to be an international women's strike. Yeah. And you all are invited. And if you want to find out more, watch this tutorial and listen to this beautiful babe. Yeah. Okay, let's get started.
Woo!
Okay. So to do this amazing little look, we're gonna first start off with the eyes and the eyebrows, and then we're gonna move on to this, and then lips. Nice. Is that good for you?
Yes, this is the lips.
The lips. What?
So I want to start with something that kind of like really just blew my mind when I first understood it, and that is it's something that like most of us in our generation are super familiar with already. But so it starts with you come home from work, you're super tired, you know, you cook, clean, do your laundry, shower, and then you crash into bed and you like start scrolling your phone because that's the only thing that you really have like the energy to do.
Yeah.
And then obviously immediately already is midnight and you have to go to work the next morning, and so then you know you wake up, get ready, go to work, and like that's basically your weekdays. Then finally the weekend comes around and you actually have like the time to do the things that you want to be doing in life, right? Like so socializing, like I don't know, watching films, drawing, like all your hobbies basically.
Sleeping.
Yeah, sleeping, lots of sleeping. But then like actually most of the weekend is spent, you know, recovering from the stressful week that you've had. So binge watching Netflix, or like, you know, getting drunk and becoming from one. Yeah, all of us. And then it's already Monday, and then the cycle starts again. And then, yeah, you're just like, you know, a lot of us I think are wondering, wow, is this all there is to life? Well,
yeah, I mean, hopefully not. Because it's a really depressing.
Well,
inside. You got there.
That's it. That's the end. It's the depressing story of feminism.
No.
No. So the thing is, right, this aspect of what we do with our lives, like around and after work, is quite like neglected in capitalist understandings of economics and politics, which will like focus on how like labor and productivity and products makes the world go around, when it's actually like in fact the things that we do outside of these things,
all the stuff in between.
Yeah, exactly. So none of this work will get done if we don't have healthy humans to, you know, go into the factories or offices, or functioning humans like that aren't on the brink of breaking down every day.
Fun. That would be ideal, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And we can't have those healthy humans like if, you know, they're obviously not taking care of themselves or the people in their lives and their friends and families, and also making sure that there are new human beings to replace the old ones. And that care work is, you know, equally as important and valuable, if not more, than the kind of service, admin, you know, production work that we get paid to do. You know, another way of kind of looking at it is like, say, for example, like a mug. You know, when we think about what the value of a mug is, most people will think about like the labor and production costs of it in the factory. But what actually makes sure that we can actually be using that mug is washing it over and over, like about, maybe like 100 or 200 times. That's actually like the majority of the work that goes into a mug.
It's not its production, but it's reproduction.
It's reproduction, exactly. And that's what is social reproductive work, is what it's called. And that unwaged workload is expected to be done disproportionately by women. So looking after the children, doing housework, caring for the elderly, providing emotional support for those around us, and is also often accompanied by this kind of idea that like somehow women, are naturally better at it or naturally more interested in doing it.
Oh
Which is
yeah.
actually not true.
Spoilers.
Spoilers!
Sorry, newsflash.
This contributes to why women also end up, earning less than men, but depending on where you live, on average work between 30 to 50 minutes more every day.
Because that's the kind of work they have to do, basically.
Exactly, yeah. And a lot of people end up having to do both, right? They have to do paid labor and unpaid labor. And that's somehow like just part of motherhood.
Yeah.
Like that's what mothers are expected to do. There's not much like, questioning around that. And if this unpaid work were to be assigned like the same wage as say like a domestic worker, it would actually make up to 45% of a country's GDP. So that's like basically half the amount of like productivity in a country is this,
insane.
Yeah. But then obviously we don't, that never gets considered in economics or politics because that's just like invisible and like devalued and just, women are just gonna do it and that's it. I completely had a brain freeze. What am I talking about?
Social reproduction.
Yeah. And obviously this all in a world where we're being forced to work longer hours for lower wages and, and like living in really shitty conditions essentially.
Like precarious.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we were talking about before, like in the last video, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of us are like on 0-hour contracts, so we're kind of living under constant like anxiety and instability. And like when we're living in these kind of conditions, obviously like the first thing we are going to neglect is that social reproductive work, right? Because you can just think like, oh, we can, that stuff is like not as important as me going to work because I need the money.
Yeah. So you have less time to take care of yourself and others.
Yeah, exactly. But capitalism being capitalism, there is obviously an industry for that. So all of us have, paid somebody else to do our social reproductive work for us, so we can do all the other things that we need to do ourselves instead. So for example, like ordering, cooked food or groceries. Some households have babysitters, and every building essentially that you've ever stepped into in your life would have had a cleaner cleaning it. And if you're rich, then maybe you could go to the spa and like chill out and like chill. And also the people who are being paid to do that social reproductive work for you tend to be majority women, but also overwhelmingly migrants, and obviously also often for really like low pay and precarious like conditions.
Yeah.
And this is like how what is so-called like global chain of care. Global care chain? Okay. Global
Care
chain.
No, I'm kidding. Global care chain. Yeah, I think
Yeah. Child compromise or no?
So we've done the eyeliner. I put a little bit of like a shimmery, very bright color on like the totality of the eyelids. It's just to like have a bit more color instead of just nothing. And now we are going to just blend out the eyeliner. So if you didn't do it very well, that's completely fine, because like once it's kind of smoked out, then you don't really have the problem of like it being precise or speaking.
Like, okay, great. So, like another way in which capitalism is exploiting us, like, together with the patriarchy. Now what? Here's the thing. So here's the thing. Like, as we said in like the last video, what we want isn't like instead to have like gender equality, right? So like equal right for us to be exploited in a shitty system, and like, you know.
Yeah, we don't want to be like, oh, all men and women are equal in a, you know, precarious 0-hour contracts, or having shitty bosses, or
exactly. Like, and then, you know, like none of us actually being able to do any of the like reproductive work that is necessary,
and which is, you know, like also essential to people being able to form the relationships that we form, like family, friends, fun stuff,
exactly.
we're not all alone.
And then like, you know, that's why it's like, why is it only women that supposedly want to do these things? Like, no, actually reproductive work is like really central to our lives. Like, we actually all want to be doing it. Like, we all want to be taking care of each other.
Just because we call it work doesn't mean it should be abolished. I mean, that's not what we want to do. You know, like, so maybe some of it, which is like unnecessary and like useless, but like, we just want it to be shared, and we want it to be shared in a world where it's valued.
Exactly. So instead of a world where we have, you know, like the reproductive work shared between all of us, like regardless of gender, and we all actually have like the time, energy, and money to actually do it properly, right? And we're not, you know, taking care of those in our immediate circles, like our friends and family, not just taking care of like the people in our immediate circles, like our friends and families, but our communities and our neighborhoods. And thinking about this like is actually really especially important, like in a time where we're living in a world where climate change and optimization is going to, you know, force us to radically rethink what, you know, how we
live as a society.
And like how we work and how we like live together with each other. And all like these conversations about how our world needs to change is already being had like by loads of important white men, and it's really important that we actually get in there, you know, and make ourselves heard, because they're definitely the ones that are not thinking that reproductive labor is important at all.
Or like factors in at all into the way that we live, or, you know, something that should be changed.
Exactly. So we could like potentially have a world in which like, you know, like we have, you know, tech solutions, and like we don't need to be like making pizzas, for example, anymore, because like this robot's gonna do it instead for us, or something like this. But like, but there's still like, that doesn't answer, you know, that could just mean that like a lot of these like exploitative relationships that we have just get reinforced.
Especially because people are like, you know, some people are gonna have to take care of the robot, like some work can be done by robots.
Exactly.
And it's not even just that, it's more like with tech, the exploitative relationship isn't changed, it's just shifted to a different zone of production, basically, or reproduction.
So that's why like, just because like we somehow managed to like get through climate change or like automation with some like solutions, doesn't mean that like, you know, like that solutions could actually even be even worse for like some aspects of our like life, basically. Like the catch is
Because there's a catch.
Always. The catch is that because this social reproductive work is so important to like, literally like makes a world, well, not literally makes a world turn, but you know, like
it could if it wanted to. That is the strength of love.
Exactly. This work that is most of the time kind of is invisible and devalued
because it's done by women.
It's
done by people of color.
Exactly. The only time they're actually kind of like visible and people notice it is when it's actually not done. So like when, you know, like even in your homes, for example, like if, you know, like nobody's doing the dishes and then just start piling up and start sinking, and you're like, oh, you know, why? You know,
you notice.
Exactly. And or like if, you know, everybody in your life has been super busy, so no one's had time to hang out with you, and then you start feeling super isolated and alone, basically. And that's when we notice this like work isn't being done. And because also this work is, you know, so important in the way that this world works, like if the way to actually show that is literally just to not do it. That is exactly the reason why millions of women across the world go on strike on the 8th of March, which is International Women's Day.
Here it is.
Ding.
So in order for your work to be noticed, don't fucking do it.
Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise, it's just like taken for granted, you know.
Ugh,
I also
girl.
keep saying like,
touring over there.
yeah.
You keep on saying what?
I keep on saying exactly. Everything you say, I'm like, exactly, exactly.
Because it is exact. So.
Yeah, it's not wrong. And so that is basically the women's strike, which is also happening in the UK and cities across the country.
Yeah.
It's just basically a day in which we like don't do our paid and unpaid labor, and instead have, you know, helpful men doing the work for us instead. To be like, so we can actually experience what it's like to share the social reproductive work equally. And instead of doing this paid and unpaid work, we like have like a radical day of action. So last year, for example, we had I think 7 or I want to say 9 cities on strike in the UK.
Let's go for 9.
Yeah, the highest always. Where we had community centers set up in which mothers could bring their children to. So instead of them doing the childcare, it was shared by the community basically, and instead like the mom spent time like discussing what like a, you know, more like a better future would look like.
So like what kind of stuff did you come up with then?
We talked about how we need more kind of communal spaces and things, and resources.
Like, yeah, because in communal spaces there's communal labor, right? Like,
yeah.
You can't really, I mean, it's much harder to organize something communal in like a small private space than it is to organize it in a big like hall or like, you know, a place where people can come for free and do the work that they want to do together. Yeah.
You know, most of the time like people are cooking and cleaning and like looking after the kids and at home by themselves, and are super isolated, so they don't then get to connect like these, you know, things that we're all experiencing, that we find, you know, exploitative. But like just because we're all by ourselves, we never really get to think about it like, oh, this is actually a larger systemic problem. So those are some of the things that we spoke about. But the women's strike isn't just about social reproduction. Like, you know, it's because we're talking about how can we reorganize society for the better
around feminism in general.
It like then brings together lots of different issues. So for example, in the morning we had like an action by our trans comrades in which they did the occupation of Ministry of Justice.
Why did you? You're the one that licks it every time. That's you. Remember now.
It's just like, I don't know. It just looks too good.
I don't like it. Okay, just a bit of gloss, and then I'm gonna spruce up that top again. And while I do that, yes, continue telling us about the women's march.
Okay. Yeah. So we had a march with 4,000 women, and in the evening we had. And it ended with like a demo organized by the sex workers who are demanding decriminalization of sex work.
A bit to add a bit of volume, take a lip pencil that's a bit darker than the shade and just apply it right on the crease here. It's like a shadow effect. This one's not dark enough. And if you don't have any dark eyeshadow or dark lipstick. Why the words today? The words. Just I have this technique where I take an old like lipstick or eyeliner brush and then I dip it into another lipstick with a bolder color and then I blend out.
So that is like a way in which like that is the most kind of effective way in which women can kind of make a lot of noise and draw attention to like issues that usually kind of completely get ignored, and also an opportunity for us to come together and discuss like the future that we want to be building. And so that was, you know, what happened in London, but across the world, like in lots of different places, like literally millions of women came together to do exactly the same thing, and year by year this movement is growing. And so we're organizing for another women's strike this year for the 8th of March. And there is and to build like another kind of another day of radical action again. This year we're especially focusing on the topics of consumption and on climate change. Oh, hello. Yeah, we're basically like thinking of like a creative action that we can do. And you can also get involved in it by coming to one of our meetings, and you can find those by going to the Women's Strike Facebook page.
But I also link everything down in the description box, so
yeah,
don't worry about it, I've got you covered.
Perfect. Wanna come, babe?
Here is the wonderful, beautiful, super babe, mega bitch look done, which is a perfect look for what's kind of mega bitch, super babe stuff is gonna go down on March 8th, which you are all privy to, men, women, all genders. There will be a big fat demonstration. There's gonna be loads of activities that you can go to, loads of ways in which you can get involved and like really help make it change for the better towards the kind of the most ambitious feminism that you can think about that wants to radically change the way that we the way that we live our lives, the way that we live together, and you know, like try and find imaginative solutions together. There's also going to be a party in London.
There will be.
I was at the one last year and it was great. Just a lot of dancing and all the men are just working. And it's so much fun. I mean, if only for that, you gotta come. Yes, see you there hopefully. Any kind of information that you want, you can ask Julia, you can ask the Women's Strike, or you can ask me. Any comments about the look, any plans that you have on March 8th. If you can't come to any of these demos, let me know about it in the comment section. Like and subscribe. Like all your friends know about this. Obviously this is like a really great promo video, so if you can share it, go for it at your heart's will. And yeah, just enjoy this beautiful face. Thank you so much for coming, Julia.
Thank you for having me.
Alright, we'll see you next time, combabes. Bye!
Mwah.